Do you have a dream quilt you've always wanted to make? Join me today. Let's have a conversation about those beautiful dream quilts that we know that we want to make. Hi, I'm Roberta from CRAFTER'S Corner, and today I want to talk about those dream quilts that we know we want to make, and they just seem out of reach for us. So if you like subjects like this, if you could like and subscribe, that really helps me out, and I appreciate it. So let's talk about those dream quilts we've always wanted to make. Now, I asked a question in a couple of groups that I belong to about if you could only make one quilt this year, what quilt would it be and why? I was fascinated with the answers that I got. Some from the most complicated patterns that are out there to some that are just really simple and easy and they've just never tried it. Most of the answers that I received were, like I said, either very complicated or just something that they've seen that they've wanted to try. The best answer I got was, "What are you, crazy? What do I do the other 51 weeks of the year?" I love that answer. That's a quilter that wants to keep busy. So let's talk about a few of those complicated quilts. One's for the advanced quilter. These are not beginner quilter patterns. These are, you need to have your fundamentals and all of your good practices in order to do these quilts. So let's take a look at some of these complicated quilts that people said they wanted to make. Now, these are just pictures that I got off of Google Images. These are not my quilts, but I just wanted to show you what these quilts are and what makes them so complicated. Now, this first one is called double wedding ring, and these are circles that are interlinked with each other. There's a lot of curved piecing in this quilt, and that's what makes it so difficult to do. These pieces have to be fiddled right into place in order to get that done. A lot of it has to be done by hand sewing these. It's not something that can be done by machine. Unless you really have precise seams, you could manage this on the machine. Now, this is a patchwork type of picture that I've picked out here. Now, I've seen this done several different ways, where the rings themselves are out of one fabric, there's a background fabric, and then those points that come together, those are done out of another one to kind of accentuate the rings. There's many different ways you could do this pattern. Now, the next pattern I want to share with you is called a dahlia quilt. And this has been on my list for a while, maybe this year. This quilt requires those rings, those circles, as you move out from the center to be evenly placed and laid in there. Once again, this is done best by hand. It can be done by machine, but like I said, precision seams are a must. So because there's so much curved piecing in this, those are cut on a bias and those stretch and they deform, and that's what makes this such a difficult pattern to achieve. So you really need to take care when you're putting those curves in, when you're kind of piecing those curves in to get them to lay flat and straight. This is a lovely quilt when it's done, and it is one of those quilts that's very time consuming to make. And the last complicated quilt I have for you is called a Lone Star. Now, this is all done with diamond pieces of material, which means they're all cut on the bias, so you're going to have some stretching going on. And the hardest part about the Lone Star is to get that center where all of your diamonds come together to lay really nice and super flat. That's the hard part. The rest of it is rather easy because it can all be done. I've seen it done strip piecing. I've seen it done several different ways so that you can get those pieces to lay flat. It's the center that's the hardest part. It's a very lovely pattern. It's striking because it's got nice contrast to it, and it is very intricate looking. Those were the more complicated ones. Now the easy ones I was really surprised by. Log Cabin, Bargello, and Storm at Sea. Now I did a really recent video on log cabins. You can check that out. I'll link a description below. Now Bargello is just a matter of sewing strips together, cutting the strips, cutting them different widths, and then varying where those colors line up because it creates a wave. If you move those strips around, you can get a wave effect going through your quilt top. Very nice, very intricate type of pattern. It's relatively easy to do. It just, once you try it, you'll like it. Now some of you may say, well, those are hard, but not really. Once you see how to make them, they're really quite simple. Storm at Sea is a perfect example because it almost gives the illusion of circles in it, and it's all really done with straight pieces. It just gives that illusion of circles. So like I said, once you see how it's put together and how it's made, really a very simple quilt, and it's very stunning. If you use different colors throughout Storm at Sea, you will get a different pattern and a different look with each variation of color in your fabrics. Now, I found it intriguing that some people just wanted to up their skill level by learning that next hard pattern, or maybe trying something a little bit out of their comfort zone in order to achieve that quilt that they've always wanted to make. There's many intriguing ideas out there, especially when it comes to using negative space for added quilting to highlight something really nice that you've done, that you've pieced, whether it be a block or maybe even a picture or something like that. Some of the ideas were Cathedral Window, which is a really lovely pattern, very time consuming, but easily done once you know how. Paper piecing was another one of the real interesting things that I was surprised by that people didn't know how to do. Paper piecing is a matter of having a picture or something on paper and you're actually sewing the strips on paper. Mariner's Compass is an excellent example of paper piecing. It's a great way to get those nice sharp points and accomplish that compass effect, almost like a giant medallion. It really is a very striking quilt. Now, most of the people were looking to challenge themselves, that next hard quilt, to open up a whole new array of things that they could do. And that's what quilting is really about. It's about learning that next hard thing so that you can use it in more ideas in your quilts. These are really simple ideas just to get you started and get you going on that next hard challenge. Another fact was people just wanted to finish their UFOs. Now, I'm kind of in that category. I have plenty of UFOs that need to get done. These are projects that we've started, and for some reason we either didn't finish them, or maybe it wasn't turning out the way we wanted it to, or maybe we ran out of fabric and went, oh no, what am I going to do now? These things can make it a little bit more difficult, and sometimes that's why things get put off to the side. So let's pull those UFOs out. I like to see them so that it reminds me, oh yeah, I need to be looking for fabric for that one. Or maybe I need to rethink how that one goes together. Or maybe I just need to take it all apart and start over. That has happened before. So when you're looking at your UFOs, kind of categorize them. Is this something that I could just sit down and sew and put it together? Or is this something that I need to think about or maybe even find fabric for? These are all ideas that I want to give you just to help you get your UFOs done, because we all just need to get them done. There's many of quilt projects that I have put off only because I need to think them through first. How am I going to put that together? What is that going to look like? Where am I going to place this, or where am I going to put that? These are all things that when you're putting together your quilts, it's really important to have that understanding of what is going to go where and how it's going to work for you. Because sometimes if we get ourselves stuck in a corner with a quilt, it easily becomes a UFO. So I would love to know what's on your bucket list. What quilt do you absolutely want to learn to make or think is that next hard challenge that you'd like to try? I'd love to know. Leave me a comment below. It's really interesting to see what people think is hard or a challenge, and let's see if we can't make that easier for you to get that quilt done. So if you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And like I said, if you haven't liked the video, like the video and subscribe. It does help me out. And until next time, keep quilting.